Greetings all. Welcome to another session here at Tuzi Talks. Today we're going to be looking at our first installment of Moodle, which is a course content management system. It's actually called a learning management system. The vocabulary is a little iffy right now as things begin to settle down in this environment. The Moodle system is an open source system begun years ago. We're going to take a little bit of a look at the history and how to set one of those up, and we're also going to look at some of the environment. We'll look at some of the settings and the schedule, the main block, and some of the other major options that are there. Just going to be basically an overview so that if you're using a Moodle system, you'll be able to understand a little bit about some of the components and elements that are there. Let's just jump right into a little bit about Moodle. That's their website. If you want to go to their website at moodle.org, and you can pick up a copy of Moodle yourself. If your school has one, they can use Moodle. Organization, if they have one, they can obviously set it up and use Moodle as well. Moodle has an interesting history. Began when a guy here named Martin Dougimas, or Dougimas, I don't actually know how to pronounce his last name. He was building a project for a degree, and it was a course management system, content management system, and he put it out there in the open after he started building it. People started using it. They were excited about all of the opportunities that were there and that it didn't cost anything. People began to set up their own systems and begin to run it, and people began to add to it because the system that Martin created was an open source system. Go back here and you look to see that this is open source. What is open source? Open source is a great feature in the world of software. Normally when you buy software you have to pay for it, and the license means that the owners of the software control everything that happens to it. You buy a copy of Microsoft Word, you're allowed to use their copy. It's theirs. You're not allowed to open it up and look inside or take out parts like you could with a book or with a car. You are only allowed to use the software. And with open source software, what happens is you are allowed to give it away to anybody and their brother. You're allowed to freely distribute it. You're allowed to look at the code. You're allowed to make stuff off of that code. Well, it's very different from the regular software that you're used to. This type of software allows you to mess around with the code if you so desire, to look at the code, to give this stuff to everybody and their brother because it doesn't cost anything. I am a lover of open source, especially in areas where people don't have funds in order to get what they want. And so it's a great opportunity to basically give software that's necessary for people to use without having to steal, without having to make illegal copies, and to provide it to anybody. Typically, open source software is platform independent. So what that means is that they're going to be able to put it on a Mac, a Windows, a Linux. It's not going to matter, and it's typically you can put it on your phone in many cases, or you have access to it through your phone. The other nice thing about it is that oftentimes when these systems are made, they're made in multiple languages. So if you're in China or Korea or Burkina Faso, you can use this software and have it created in a language that your users will be able to understand. So it's very nice that you can have open source software. Typically, I use only open source software. My browser is open source. My Office suite is open source. What other systems that I use? Well, this recording system that I'm using to record this video is all open source. So I can use a lot of open source software. I don't have to pay for money. I don't have to pay for upgrades. I can give it away, and I can have it in multiple languages. So there's a lot of things that I can do with it, and I would definitely recommend, if you are someone that's interested in using software without forcing people to pay or forcing people to steal, that you would be interested in open source software. Now, getting back to Moodle. Moodle is software that you can use at your school or your organization, and it's a course content management system like Blackboard or the old WebCT. There are about 1,000 different course content management systems out there. Some of them are being subsumed, and so the numbers are becoming smaller because of competition that's now emerging after all these new startups had begun. But still, the main ones that are out there have been around for a while, and they're going to stay around. Blackboard is probably the most popular in name. Moodle, interestingly enough, is probably the most popular system out there. If you go out and you look for, the top 10 or the top 20 course content management system, the top 20 learning management systems, you'll see almost invariably up at 1 or 2 is Moodle. It is one of the most popular systems, and it's open source, so it doesn't cost anything, and your school can use it, but they need to be able to manage it. And that's the scare for some people, because they don't want to be able to manage it. If you're brave and you want to manage a system, here's all you're going to need to do. You're going to need to have a computer that has an operating system, a web server, and a database server. Now, operating system generally comes with your computer. So if you have a Mac computer, Mac OS. Windows computer, Windows OS. If you have a Linux computer, you can have a Linux OS. You can, of course, download Linux software for free because it also is open source. You'll need a web server. You may be able to get a web server off of your operating system. I know that Windows has IIS, Information Server, which is their web server, but you could also use Apache, which is a free web server that you can use. And you need a database server. Database servers range from ones that are very expensive, like Oracle or MS SQL, to ones that are open source, like Postgres or MySQL. All of those systems you can use, put them on your system, install them on your system, and then that's all you'll need to do is download and install Moodle on your system. And after you install Moodle, so you go to the Moodle website, download their package, install it onto your computer, configure it, run it, and off you go. You have a running course content management system. Now, I've given you just a brief overview of this. If you are really interested, drop me a message down below and I can actually walk you through the process of installing Moodle on your own system. For most teachers, you could care less. You couldn't care less about setting up a system like this because you want to teach. You don't want to set up a system. So I'm going to set that aside, that whole setting up a Moodle installation. We're just going to look at the overall environment. We'll look at the front page. We'll look at some of the categories. We'll look at the schedule, some of the user operations. We'll get an overview of some of the main things, and we'll also take a look at hot potatoes because that's one of the options that is within the system. First of all, let's take a look at the layout. We'll look at some of the administrative settings, and we'll look at some of the editing settings. That's what we want to take a peek at. So let's take a jump over here and take a look at what a system would look like. This is a system that I have. It's entitled etuzi.com, and you can come here and set up courses if you wanted to. The site allows you to log in, so there's a login section. And after you log in, obviously you have to be a member before you can do that. So if you're not a member, kindly ask and we can set you up with that. After you set up that system, after you log in, you'll be able to get into a course. You'll notice that right now there's nobody logged in here, so I'm going to log in, and then this is what it'll look like after you log in. After you log in, your name's going to be sitting up here, and you'll be able to click on your name and edit your profile. The front page of a Moodle system can look like anything you want it to. This is just a basic blasé setup that I have quickly created. It lists all the courses and categories. It lists some of the courses in more detail, and you can go in and take a look and see what these look like. Let's go take a look at some of the student pages that I created, in particular for this session here, which is in the summer. And I have one sample course here that's going to include my name. So here's what a sample course is going to look like. You'll note on the left side you've got a schedule, or not a schedule, you have an administration panel. You've got the ability right here to switch roles. So if you are a teacher, you can see what it looks like if you were a student or a guest or somebody else. Okay, you can switch roles and see what your work looks like in other systems. I've used systems where as a teacher, I can set up the system and do all these different things, but I can't see what it looks like from a student perspective. So that's a great thing to have. Again, you can modify your profile. You can edit your password or change your name or some of your other settings, and we'll take a look at that in just a second. And then up here you've got something called a breadcrumb, which allows you to look down the path as you go. I'm actually to be in this direction, down the path as you go. All the different subcomponents that you're looking at. The other nice thing about these things is that I can hide them over here in this little bar. So I can take this and plop it over there, and now it's on that menu side over here, which means that my schedule is going to be a lot longer. I can pull these back. I can just mouse over and get these things as well. Same thing with navigation. I can just mouse over and look at those things. If I want them permanently in this column, I just click on this little button here again, and they're going to be permanently on the column now. Notice that my schedule is now a little smaller. You decide how you want to do that. There's some of the nice features that it includes. Okay, a typical course is going to have a schedule like this, right down the middle. And in that schedule, you need to populate it with stuff. The stuff that you're going to have in your course. You're going to need, little labels that say, hey, this is what we're doing in class today, or this is your homework for today, or you're going to need certain types of labels like that. You're going to need to upload your resources and your materials. Anyway, so let's take a quick look. Where were we here? I believe, oops, wrong one. There we go. We're going to be looking at some of the roles and the grades and the files and questions. So let's look at this schedule right over here. Let's look at this administration panel. Now this is an administration panel for the course. So you notice that it says course administration. You're going to find when you set up a discussion board or a quiz, you're going to have another panel over here that says, well, this is a quiz administration panel, or a discussion, a forum administration panel. You're going to have them all. You're going to be able to turn on and off editing, which we'll talk about later. You can edit the settings of the course. Okay, what are the settings of the course? Let's go take a look. So the settings of the course include the course name, when it begins, when it ends, a little description of the course. You want to put a description of the course in, you can. If you'll note, this entire system here has a nice little window here that's basically a little word processing window. Allows you to put in editing, you can put in links, you can put in pictures, video, inside, anything that has a typing window, anything that has a word processing window like that, you'll be able to put in information. You'll be able to change things like the course format. This is set up as a weekly format, but you can set it up for social or topical or weekly. And if you have any questions, always just click on that little button right there. And these buttons allow you to have a little more explanation as to what these individual elements mean. You'll be able to change the appearance. There are a variety of themes that you can use. If you're creative, you can make your own theme. You can upload certain files and to set limits there. You can decide guest access. Am I going to allow guests into my course? And if I do let them in, are they going to have a password? So currently this is set up to say no guests. Okay, I can have guests, but I'm going to have them put in a password. So I just put in a password. I can change the names of the roles of the teachers, or the students or the guests, so that it fits more closely to your organization, whatever you're doing there. And that's basically the edit settings component. It's really just filling out the shell that you're going to fill stuff with. That's what the edit settings means. I can add and remove users. I can enroll users with the users button, and I just click on enrolled users and then enroll people, and I can add people to the system. The people have to be in the system in order to add them, obviously. I can set up grades. I can set up grade categories, and then everything that I do when I set up activities, I can put into those grade activities. I can back up and restore a course. I can import a course. I can publish a course to the web. I can reset a course. What's reset mean? Let's say you're done with teaching, 7th grade English for the year, and you want to save all your data, but you want to get rid of all your students and all their comments and grades and whatnot, because you want to use the same shell again. You want to use all the stuff that you put in again, so that it's easier the next time you do it. That's what reset is going to do. It can eliminate all of the participants, all of the grades, all of the anything that they posted, but the actual activities that you created are still sitting there. Wonderful thing to have. You can create a question bank. A question bank, again, let's go back to 7th grade English. Maybe you're doing a little bit of literature, a little bit of poetry, a little bit of writing in this course, and you've got tons of questions that you created as you went through the semester, through the year. You can put all those questions into this question bank and reuse them. You know, the nice thing is you put the questions in and you can create tests with those questions. The questions can be varied. They can be shuffled. The answers, if they're like multiple choice, can be shuffled. If they're matching, they can be shuffled. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. And there are many different types of questions. Let's create a new question. If I create a new question, look at all the options that I have. I've calculated multiple choice, embedded answers, which is a close, essay matching, random answers, short answer, true, false, and I can add more to these. This is only a sample of the typical ones that are downloaded when you get into a Moodle system. You can add more. You go to the Moodle website, and when you get to their website, there are extra questions and extra activities that you can import. All right, so that's the question bank. You also have repositories. Let's just say again, you have got a lot of information on, let's just say Shakespeare. And you've got questions and materials that you want students to read in this class. But you also use Shakespeare in other classes. So you make a repository and then you can use those resources in different classes. Maybe you're a school and you've got certain forms that you want everyone to have access to. Well, you put them in a repository, and then your students are going to be able to use those activities, or your teachers will be able to use those when they create questions. All right, real quick, let's take a look at editing your profiles. Let's just click on Edit Profile very quickly. You can change the name. You can change the password, your name, your email. You should decide how your email is going to be displayed. You're going to let everybody see it or not see it. You're going to want to track your forum postings. So when someone posts on a discussion board, do you want to get an email that says, hey, someone just sent you a message? Well, you can do that. You can get these emails sent to you. Me? Hate that. No, but that's me. You can set up, where is this? You can insert a picture of yourself. You can set up other interests, let people know, create tags for you. You can set up extra ID information. This is all for communication purposes. It's all part of your profile if you want to set it up. So that's entirely up to you. Okay, and that's basically your profile. You can change this for you, obviously. You can change it for your students. Let's go back to the sample course here. Again, we're looking at the sample course. We've got this thing on the left side, the administrative panel. We can switch roles. We can change our profile. Site administration, not something that you're going to be doing unless, of course, you set up your own Moodle system. On the right-hand side, you've got these little bubbles here, these little activities. They're called blocks. And so you've got a block set up, upcoming events. And if you've got something on the calendar that you've added, you'll see they'll pop up. Or latest news, anything that you've posted recently, that'll pop up. You don't want these, you can get rid of them. Okay? And how do you get rid of them? How do you add stuff? You turn editing on. You've got two options that you can do this. You've got a button here, and you've got a link here that you can click on and turn on your editing. Let's go do that right now. This is the mainstay. This is the main thing that you'll be doing. You're going to be turning on editing as a teacher, and you're going to be adding stuff to your course. Okay? So we've looked at some of the roles, and we looked at the, some of the options that you have in administration. Now we're going to move on. We're going to look on editing. We turned on and off editing. We're going to look at all these different things now, just so that you can understand. All right. So I clicked on turn editing on, and these windows, these little drop downs appeared. Your system might be, it all might be together in one big list, but it's basically two separate items that you're looking at. You're looking at resources. By resources, I mean stuff you don't grade, stuff you're giving to your students because you want them to have it. You have a syllabus for a course. You can make it a resource. Upload a file. You want to create a digital book of materials that your students can use. Well, you can make a book. You want to create a folder to dump resources in, activity papers that you want them to have. You can do that. If you have an IMS content package, in other words, you have a book that you get from the publisher, and they have a little programmed activities and resources that they want to give you, you can download that package. Label us, as I mentioned before. You want to put up a sign that says, hey, here's what we're doing in class. Here's what's for homework. Here's what's, for next class. You can put these little labels on your page, and we'll show you what those are in just a minute. You can create a web page. And so you create a web page, and again, it's just like you're working with a word processor. You can fill that in just like you're dealing with a word processor, but you're making a web page, so you can provide information for your students. You can do the same thing with a tab display, and you can set up a URL. You give them this link, and it sends you off to some other location, some other school, some other website where you can get information. Those are resources. You also have activities. These are graded activities. For example, an assignment. You can have them upload a paper or do online text or do something in class that has nothing to do with computers, but you give them a grade for doing that. You know, they brought in a can of soup for, bring in a can of soup and help the local market down the street that hands out food to those in need, type of thing. Well, they do that activity and they get a point with an offline activity. You can do attendance. You can set up a chat, just like an instant message type of a chat. You can set up a database. Not interested, right? You can set up flashcards and have students play with flashcards. You can set up a forum or a discussion board. There are games. If you have a flashcard set already made, you can use that to make games. If you have questions in your question bank, you can use those to play games. You put those game activities online. You can create a glossary. Words and definition. You can create the glossary. You can have your students create a glossary. You can create a hot potatoes activity. You can create a lesson, which is a bunch of activities that are strung along together. You can create a questionnaire. If you're interested in actually building some type of a questionnaire for your students to answer and to collect data from, you can make a quiz or a test. We'll look at that a little later. If you have a SCORM package, you can download that. You can use a Turnitin activity. If you want to hook into Turnitin and check their work, you can do that. You can create a wiki. You can create a workshop, which is a little kind of like a lesson, only it's a little larger and it allows you for more options. And these are only some of the activities that are listed here. Why? Because you can go to Moodle, you can get on their website, and you can download more different types of activities. You take that activity that you want to add, you give it to your website administrator, and they'll be able to add that in so that you can use it within the system. So, those are the types of things that are sitting here. So let's make a label real quick. I'm going to make a label. Let's make a label here for this first week. Make a label, and we'll call it, just say in class. So I can say in class. This is stuff that we're going to do in class. Well, that looks kind of boring. I'm going to turn on my editing tools. You'll note there's a little link here that says, hey, editing tools. I'm going to turn those on, and that's going to bring me into my word processor type document. Grab this little corner thing here, drag it out of the way, and now I can make a bigger place here. I can also highlight, and I'm going to bold this. I'm going to make it a little larger. Let's make it this large, and I'm gonna center it, and that's good for that. That's it for my label. So let me not center it. I don't like centering it. Let me go back left. But there's a lot of things that I can do here. Just put your mouse over anything, and a little pop-up window is going to tell you what you can and can't do with it. Okay? So save this when we're done. Go back to class. Okay? And so now I've got something here that says in class. Okay? That's it. You'll also note that I have all these little buttons that have now popped up. All those little buttons mean things. They're things that you can do. I can indent right. I can move. I can update the settings. I can copy this. I can delete it. I can hide it. And I can assign it to a group. Okay, assign it to a group. So that's what I can do with it. So I can take this and just drag it down here if I want. Now it's in the next week. I can drag it back up. Notice that it's rather easy to use. Get up there. Okay? So I can copy it. Let's go copy this. You want to copy this? Yes, we'll duplicate it. You want to edit the copy? Nope, I just want to go back to class. But I could edit the copy if I wanted to. So now I've got two of them. Now let's drag this one down here. Okay, so now I can just move stuff around. I'm hoping you're seeing how this works. You'll notice here I've got a move button here, so I could literally move the weeks also. Let me move this week up here. Okay, so now we've got the week move because I have this move button. And here I have a hide button. So if I'm working on a week and it's not done yet and I need to hide it so students don't see it yet, I just click on the little eyeball there and now it's hidden. Okay, just click on it again and I can unhide it. So those are basically your activity or your resources. And these are your activities. Let's go take a look back and see what else I was supposed to show you. Showed you these basic things. I showed you some of these. Let's go look at hot potatoes. A hot potatoes activity is, I don't know if you've ever used hot potatoes. We'll show you what that is in just a minute. But I can use created hot potatoes activities in my class. And so hot potatoes activities are, is another type of open source software that you can use. And let's just go take a look at what hot potatoes is. I recommend that you go download hot potatoes. Just go to Half Baked Software Incorporated, download their stuff. It's available on Mac or Linux or Windows. So you can download this and create activities. What kind of activities can you create? You can create a close. You can create a quiz. You can create a crossword puzzle, which I wouldn't recommend doing. You can create a mix and match where you've got like a sentence and you've got to put them in the proper order, and then you've got matching, where you've got, just like your standard matching. We'll just go look at a close, but I do recommend download this stuff. It's great software to have. So what happens in a close, let me just explain what a close is. Close is basically where you have a group of sentences, you have a paragraph, and every nth word is taken out. In the past, if you wanted to do this, you had to find a document, copy it, paste it into your word processor, take out every nth word, okay? Take those words and set them aside or put them below, put little blanks where those were. Then you had to print out that paper, hand it to your students. They would try to fill in the missing words. You'd have to collect the papers, match up everything that they did, okay? It was a long process. If you wanted to do it properly, before you gave it to your students, you would give it to somebody else, a native speaker or someone who was an adult who knew the material. So to see if they could actually do this, because it may have been too difficult, or multiple words could go into that place, and so problems that occurred like that. But anyway, we're not going to do that. I just want to show you really quickly how to do this. In order to do this, I'm going to need content. Again, I could write up content, but you know what? I have a word processor, so let me go find some content here. I found a nice little article on the former president of Poland, Lech Walesa. And I'm just going to take this little article right here. In fact, let me take everything so that they know where I'm getting the data from. Let me take these paragraphs here and copy that and go back to our thing here. I'm just going to paste this in here. Okay, and now we have that listed there, right? So let me just give it a title. In fact, let's use the title they used, which was this one, all right? So let's copy that and go back up here, and let's paste the title. So now we have a title. And we have a small article. It's really not many words there, but let's just use this for now. I've got the option of making a gap manually, ungapping, showing gaps, and auto gap, or ungap all. So let's just do an auto gap real quick. And it's going to go in and make the words for you. How many words do you want to skip? Well, let's skip every 9 words. We're going to click on this, and I don't want to include a period, so say no, and I did it again. All right, so these are all the words that are going to be blanked out, okay? All the ones that are in red. I can save this right now, save it as an HTML or save it as a JCL, which is a hot potatoes Java close hot potatoes activity, or I can save it as an HTML file, and then we can use this. Okay, so it goes up here and save the data, or export it to a standard web page. Okay. Let's give it a name. Let's call it Poland. Oh. And then I should be able to save and upload it. That's the nice thing about this. It's very quick to make, and of course if there's a word that I don't want to use, I can just double click on this word, for example, and just click ungap. And now it's not a gapped word. If I want to make this the word, I can just click on it and click the word gap, and I can put in clues, I can put in alternatives, or I can just press close, and now it's gapped. So that's how this works when you create a close activity, or a matching activity, or a quiz, or a mixing. Okay. So that's how this works. So now that it's saved, let's save this as well. Let's save this file. Okay, let's give this a name and call it Poland. And save it. Okay, and then let's go back to our class, which is here, and we can add a hot potatoes activity. So when we go to add a hot potatoes activity, we're going to have to go look for a file. So right here, we're going to click on Add. Whoops, Add. And then we go and find the file. So I'm going to click on Add. These are some options that are in my system, but I'm going to upload a file. All right, so I'm going to click on here and upload a file. So I have to go find this file. And I forget what I called it. And it's not here. There it is, Poland, JCL. So I just click on this and upload it. And then use this. Let's save and display. And that's how it looks when it pops into your system. Okay, this is the title that I had. These are all the blanks that I had. It's very easy to create activities using hot potatoes. And hot potatoes, I could also print it out on a piece of paper. And I would have one page that had this that's above me here, and I would have another page that would have the answers if I wanted to do it on paper. And all those activities are great tools to use. Again, I'd recommend that you use them as you're doing this. So we looked at just a quickly review of some of these activities that were here. We looked at some of the resources. We looked at the buttons there for editing and indenting and that kind of thing. All right, let's go back to our class just to give a little quick review here of the things that are happening. Actually, I've forgotten something. One more thing that we want to do. We looked at the admin panel and all the things that you can do there. We've looked at the schedule. We looked at turning on and off the editing. Let me turn it off now, right now, and then you'll see all those little buttons disappear. And so this is what the schedule looks like right now. Okay, I can go back in and obviously edit things, turn editing back on, and I'm going to indent this. Okay, and you just missed a little message that was sitting here. But I could literally, if I had documents sitting to the right of me or to the left of me, I could simply drag them on to my schedule here and they would show up. So if I had a Word document sitting on my desktop and I dragged it over from the desktop onto my page, it would also show up. Very nice little features that we have here. I also have blocks, and I don't like these blocks. So I'm going to click on the X's. I'm going to get rid of the search for them. Yes, I want to get rid of this block, and I'm going to get rid of this block, the latest news forum, which I'm not interested in. And upcoming events, I'm not interested in this one, so I'm going to get rid of that one. Okay, I'm just going to delete all these blocks because they're not going to be useful to me, or I don't think I want to use them in my class. But there are other blocks that I may want to use. Okay, notice now that all my blocks are gone, my schedule is wider, which is a nice thing. But I can go down here at the bottom of my page here. I said, look, I've got add blocks. So I can add blocks. Just to let you know, I can add resources, I can add activities, and now I can add blocks. And so it's the third thing I want to show you. All these all these blocks here that I have. I have an attendance block. I have a blog. If I want to set up a blog, I can. I can put in a dictionary. I can list courses. I can set up a calendar. I believe there's a calendar in here. I can set up mail, and mail is what I want to do. I'm going to set up quick mail. So I'm going to add quick mail. So all I did was click on it to add it, and there it is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to, I'm going to drag this over here if possible. Can I do that? Nope, I've got to send it over, I believe. Hide. Yeah, I should be able to put it over here. Look at that, I can't do it. Why not? Should be able to just put it right. Oh, there it is. All right, so now it shows up over on this side. So I can put my blocks anywhere on either side, okay, and I can add more blocks. Again, you just want to look at the blocks. And by the way, if you, let me just add this one for fun, even though I'm not a Wikipedia fanatic. Take this and drag it over here. There we go. I let it go after I see a small image of it. But anyway, if there are more blocks that you'd like, you go to Moodle, their website, and see what other blocks they have. You might find a block that you say, hey, I want this block. You download the block, send it to your administrator, and ask them if they can add it. And if it's if it's able to be added, then they'll be able to post it there. So that's all I wanted to cover. Those are the main things I wanted to cover today. I wanted to go over your resources, your activities, some of the possibilities. We're going to show you a little bit of the environment. And next time when we do a bigger, more detailed work on some of the options that are there, you'll be able to practice with those again. I do hope this is going to be helpful to you. And again, if you have questions or comments, just post me a message down there or send me an email. You guys have a nice day. Bye-bye.